Back to the Culture Call on Praise 93.3 with L. Spencer Smith. Our desire is to reach and empower the community by discussing a cross-section of relevant topics from various perspectives that are essential to its growth and interpersonal connections. Be sure to save our call-in number, 205-752-4800. Be sure to install the free Praise 93.3 app so you can send L. Spencer Smith a message or topic idea. Search for WTSK in your app store.
This is a world premiere.
Great morning, precious people. You know what time it is. That's right. It's time for your number one talk show, The Culture Call, with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3. Yes, FM, your inspiration station. And this is indeed the place where Tuscaloosa meets the world. And for the next 2 hours from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., you know what we do. We're going to be talking a little bit about everything. That's right. From society to sports, education to economics, and definitely from religion to relationships. And as always, we are here to create a safe space to have empowering, provocative, and yes, sometimes a little controversial conversations. And guess what? You can call in and chat it up with us as we learn together right here on The Culture Call. Want to send a shout out to, all of our first-time listeners. If this is your first time listening to The Culture Call, I am grateful to have you on here with the CC family. Does not matter what you're doing and where you are. We are always grateful for you to lean into, we believe, the talk show that empowers our community. That's right, the Black community, so that we won't be late, last, or lost. And so I don't know how you heard about it. Facebook, a friend told you. You might have just heard me somewhere talking about my radio show. Listen, if this is your first time, welcome. Like we used to say in church, you're welcome once, you're welcome twice. Y'all remember that one? Absolutely. Yeah, so go ahead and strap in. It's going to be a great day. And of course, number two, to all of our recurring listeners, you have made the Culture Call for the last year what it needs to be. That's right, what it is now, which is number one. According to the Alabama Broadcasters Association, we are the number one. That's right, in our market. And I am super excited, super glad. We could not have done that without you, your faithful support, and your encouragement on the daily. So I am so appreciative to you. And as always, number three, that's right, last but not least, we give a big shout out to Brother Jay. That's right, the inimitable Brother Jay, the amazing, awesome man of God that always leads us here from 5 a.m. all the way to 12 and passes me a hot baton. That's right, making sure y'all take care of me and treat me right. Absolutely, definitely. We are grateful for him and his guidance and his longevity in this station, and we're grateful for all that he does on the daily. Listen, if you have not done it already, that's right, if you haven't done it already, take out your smart device, your Apple or your Android device, and go to your app store, go to your app store and search Praise 93.3 FM. There, my beloved, you will find, a free 99 app. It's not going to cost you a thing to download that on your phone. That's right. Download it on your phone. Go ahead and put it there. And there you can hear everything that's happening on the Culture Call, but not only on the Culture Call, but the entire Praise 93.3 family. All of our broadcasts, you can get news, what's happening in our city, all of that, so that you will make sure that you, again, won't be late, last, or lost to what's going on in our surroundings. And so it doesn't matter where you are. That's right. Whether you're in Baltimore, Maryland, whether you're in Richmond, Virginia, you might be in Charleston, South Carolina, or guess what? Right here in the beautiful city of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Birmingham, Montgomery, Mobile, Huntsville, Bowler G. That's right. Aliceville, Utah. Everywhere you want to be, Gordo Reform. Want to make sure that you all have an opportunity to, whatever you're doing at work, at play, you can hear what is happening on the Culture Call and all of the great programming on our station. Listen, need you to do me a favor. Go ahead and send me your public service announcements or your events to culturecall.praise@gmail.com. That's culturecall.praise@gmail.com. Go ahead and send that to me so I can let Lottie Dottie and everybody know what's happening in your neck of the woods, in your church, your organization, your sorority, your fraternity. If you're an artist getting ready to have a concert, or a recording, or whether you're a pastor getting ready to start a church or do a revival. We want everybody to come out and support put some faces into place so that you will know what you do, the work that you do and have planned and prepared for really means something. You know why? Because we do it better when we do it together. Absolutely. And listen to me. I need you to take down this number, 205-752-4800. That's 205-752-4800. And if you feel the unction, you've got space in your time of day, you can call in and let's chat it up and see how we can come up with some solutions that empower our community to make us better. Because, yes, we do it together. That's what we do. I want to hear from you. You make us what we are, and I would love to have you be a part of the conversation. Go ahead and follow me as well on Facebook. That's right. Just type in the Culture Call and there push that like button and you will be able to find out what we're going to be talking about doing today, special advertisements and all those different kinds of things. Yeah, I want to make sure that you follow our Facebook page. That's right. I haven't gotten a Twitter page. I haven't gotten what is that? Instagram page. We haven't gotten that far yet. Yeah. But I want you to go ahead and do that on our Facebook page. And as always, if you missed the broadcast, you can go to Apple Podcasts and type in Culture Call, leave out the article, and there you're going to find my face there and all of the previous shows. The one that you might have missed, guess what? You can listen to that as well to make sure that we stay together, right? So sit back and relax. That's right. Grab you some coffee. You know how we do it, from Maxwell House to Starbucks. Yeah, maybe coffee is not your thing. Go ahead and get you some herbal tea. If you're trying to calm down, chamomile. If you're trying to get a little kick, caffeine kick, you can get you some green tea. That's right. And, of course, alkaline water, spring water is always in order. My favorite is Essentia. That's right. You can get that, detox that body, get down to that cellular level. And guess what? Let's get into the culture. Listen, all month long, we've been talking about something with mental health, dealing with our minds and making sure that we best prepare ourselves for, our daily living, because we cannot live without the mind, right? The mind determines what will be our reality, right? And I think it's very important. In the world that we live in today, we need to have a sound mind. And I've been teaching that. I've been preaching that all month long to my church, and everywhere I go, that part of the gift that God has given us with this life is to possess a sound mind. According to Timothy, he says God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. That simply means that I have a healthy mind and I have a health-giving mind, right? That simply means that not only do I know how to treat myself and think about myself and the world around me, but I also know how to treat you and what to speak to you and how to make sure that we are a vibrant, living, healthy community. I don't want to use my mind and allow my mind to speak through my mouth and create a world or a reality that defeats all of us. That's right. Because sometimes some folks say things and they don't even know what they're saying, or they don't pay attention. They really don't think about what they're doing. I didn't want to be insulting there, but yeah, you ever been around people that just don't think about what they're doing, or, they got one life over here, especially church folks. They got a life in church. They sing in the choir, they're deacons, they're preachers and all that. And then you look at the life outside of the sanctuary and it just doesn't line up. It does not line up. And you're taken aback like, what is wrong with them, right? I'll tell you what it is. It's not necessarily a demon. It is a decision, a choice, and the ways that they are making them. Some people do not have analytical and perceptive skills to be able to make wise decisions. And so, yeah, that's just kind of how it is. And so we have to live in a world where we have to toggle between people who have good minds and people who have bad minds. And when I use good and bad, I'm talking about in terms of making decisions and choices, not in terms of quality. Right? No, that some people, because of their environment, because of their economics, have not been able to have the right choices and be able to have that cultivation of heart and mind to be able to make the right choices. But one of the things that the text tells us is that we ought to guard our hearts, and in the Hebrew understanding, guard our hearts and our minds, right? So that because out of them flow the issues of life. In other words, our reality is created by the thoughts. And the thoughts begin to govern ways, right? That's a principle in the text that God tells us that your thoughts are not my thoughts, because your ways are not my ways, because your thoughts are not my thoughts, and my thoughts and are higher than your thoughts. That's why my ways are not like your ways, right? And since we're we should be in pursuit of understanding the ways of God, ways for our lives, our destinies, our purpose. What's our real worth and our value? What is our real definition that has been meted by the divine, right? Not outside of anybody who has not created us. And I mean, mama and daddy is that, right? God's thoughts came through them, and they're coming together, wrapped God's thoughts in flesh, right? And so we understand that, but the reality is that we were made by the hand of God, right? According to Jeremiah, and I believe what it says. He says, before we were even formed in our mother's womb, God knew us. That means that there was a divine science, a divine knowledge, a divine wisdom that went into making the essence of who we are, not simply the physicality of who we are, not simply our bodies, but the reality is that we have been determined in our beginnings and our ends and all of those things that flow in between have already been determined by God. And so then God gives us this whole opportunity of life and giving us time. And he also then, watch this, gives us this whole idea of being able to think, decide, to choose, right? And I think that's very important for us to know so that we can become serious thinkers. Years ago, I thought about this idea. I was listening to something, and I came up with this idea about revolutionary thinkers, right? And I do a leadership conference every year about revolutionary thinkers because, the whole idea of life, and I talked a little bit about this, this past week. I said that the enemy that you have, the enemy of our lives, the enemy of our souls, is not fighting you over your past. He's fighting you over your future, right? So if there's any warfare, spiritual warfare in your life, it's not about who you used to be. It's about who you're about to become. And so this whole idea of revolutionary thinking means that no matter what age I am always in revolution. I'm always in evolution. I'm always becoming something and prayerfully better than I was on yesterday, right? That my past does not limit me or hold me captive to that moment of history. That when I decide by the guidance of God to become something different, guess what? I can. Yeah, I can. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. As our minds are put to the task of creating a reality, creating life, to making choices and decisions, right? Then you got to understand that you have the ability to become. And what I'm finding out, even in this world, people get stuck in a pattern of life. They get stuck in a pattern of mentality, and they pass it on to their children, to their children's children, and these are the ways that we think, and not only the ways, but the whats that we think. The ways and the whats that we think become the inheritance of the next generation, right? We love that text in Proverbs when it comes to money or finances. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. But that particular text, that particular scripture, is not simply relegated to the context of finances and or money. The principle of that text is that one generation begins to prepare for what another generation will inherit, right? And so a mentality, an attitude, a perspective, a perception can be inherited by our children and by our grandchildren, right? They think like their grandparents thought, their great-great-grandparents thought. And there is a system of thinking, a pattern of thinking, right? There is a modality that we come up under, and it locks a bloodline, locks a people, locks a generation into this facet of life, right? If your parents and or your grandparents, started with a poverty mindset or a lack mindset, or this is all we're ever going to be mindset, and that mentality is passed down from generation to generation as a legacy, that becomes the children, the grandchildren's, the future's inheritance. That is their inheritance. Because why do you think like that? Well, my mama thought that, because her mama thought that, and because her mama thought that, and I think that. And we've got to begin to understand and this whole idea of revolutionary thinking, that we can think again, Culture Call. That's right. You are not. I am not trapped in any one system of thought. That our minds are so brilliantly given to us by God that we are able to create another life by another thought, right? And it is what I think about myself. It is what you think about yourself, Culture Call, that causes us to become the image of our thoughts, right? This is why it is important. This is why it's important for you to really not just quote, listen to me, not just quote Proverbs 3, but begin to have that as a meditation of mind. It's creating something in your mind. It's shaping the context of what your mind can see. And that means trust in the Lord with all thy heart, 5 and 6, and lean not to thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct thy paths, right? Right? Don't leave that S out, paths, right? That means that every day you and I have the responsibility to create something, a reality that God has designed for us to live, right? And I believe me now. You ain't got to believe me. You ain't got to line up with me. But I believe that God has not desired for anyone to not have the resources that they need, that God has desired that anyone. If God says that I don't wish that anyone would perish, right, but that all would come into repentance, if that is what God desires, if he doesn't want anybody to go to hell, if that is not a desire, then why would he, if he doesn't want that, then why does he want you broke? Then why is sickness something that we attribute to God? Why is lack and disease and poverty and racism and all these things? Why do we give some kind of divine context to that when God says, I don't want anybody to perish, but that all will come into a different, watch this word, repentance, a higher state of mind, right? An elevated, ascended state of mind. In other words, that God has created us with the ability for our minds to transcend situations, to transcend occurrences, right? I didn't ordain the divorce, but I don't want you to stay there for the rest of your life lamenting something that could or should or woulda. I don't want you to live there, right? That you can't pay penance for that, right? All the time. You've got to repent. That means bring your mind up and say, if I am still breathing, if I am still living, right? Watch this. If I am still breathing, if I'm still living, I have already survived 100% of the things that have ever happened to me. Come on, Culture Call. Now, if I had an organ, if I had a good old church, we'd have had church right there. But we're not in church. This is a talk show, right? But that's a fact that already, if you are walking, living, breathing, and you are listening to me, you have already survived 100% of the things that have happened to your life. Now, watch this. How do we then move from survival to thriving? We've got to move from surviving to thriving. And the connection between surviving and thriving is what is happening in your mind. How have you processed the 100% of the things that you have survived? Yeah. How have you processed that? Are you still bitter about it? Are you still bitter about the abuse? Are you still bitter about the divorce? Are you still bitter about things? Right. And hear me. All of us come with traumas and triggers. So I am definitely not belittling it. And this is not a conversation of you just get over it, because all of us begin to matriculate through our own problems and our own circumstances and situations as they befall us in life at different levels. So what may be easy for me to get over, or what maybe I have already conquered and begin to thrive through, you might just still be in the throes of trying to believe that it even happened, right? And so that's definitely not this conversation, because that's a lack of sensitivity and sympathy and empathy that we would have for each other. But the reality is that now you do need someone, and I'm going to be that someone for you today to tell you that you can't stay there. You cannot stay there. If it happened 10 years ago, if it happened 5 years ago, you got to have the revolutionary mindset. You got to begin to allow because until your mind begins to create revolution, guess what? You won't have resolution. And until you get resolution, you won't have evolution. Evolution means to become something different than what I am now. And I want to send out a clarion call to all of you who are listening to me. All of you, all who listen to me on the daily, and if this is your first time, you deserve to evolve. I need you to open up your mouth and say that to yourself. I deserve to evolve. Yes, I do. I do not have to stay in this same mindset. I do not have to stay in the same place. I deserve to evolve. That's right. And when you begin to look at it from that perspective, tools and strategies, right, will start coming to you. You'll start framing your conversation differently in your house, right? That when you become a person of who is of sound mind, right, you might go through some financial difficulty, but in your mind, you've already seen yourself coming out. You already see doors opening. You already see opportunities getting ready to happen. You already see those things coming to pass, right? Because again, what changes in the mind? What changes in time? As a man thinks in his heart, what? So is he. Whatever you think in your mind is what you have the ability to become. So if you're always thinking that you're broke and you're poor and you're sick and you're down and you're depressed and you're discouraged, don't blame it on the devil. Don't blame it on Satan. Don't blame it on some ethereal enemy, some invisible force that's trying to keep you back. No, blame it on the context of your mind and your decisions. Because guess what? If you want to go there, the last time I checked, John tells us that greater is he that is within us than he that is in the world. And if that is the case, that means that my world is created on the things that are within me. The force that's in me is stronger than the things that are obstacles, right? The things that try to contrive themselves from a soul, a spirit, or a spirit, a soul, or a mind kind of economy, a kind of nature. I am able to overcome that. They are not stronger than my decision to be well. They are not stronger than my decision to come out of poverty. They are not stronger than my decision to be the best person that I can be. They're not stronger than my decision to forgive even the person that hurt me, even the person that left me, even the person that lied on me. I have responsibility. Yeah, I have a responsibility. Guess what? You have a responsibility, Culture Call, to begin to will yourself out of that mindset that says, I'm stuck. Right. Your family is going to need that because we begin to pass down, listen to me, our mental constructs and patterns to our children. Yes, our minds are our children's inheritance, right? The wisdom or the lack thereof becomes the children's inheritance, right? When they have family who is superstitious, when it's all spooky, they have no faith, right? They don't talk about God. They have no kind of righteous resolve to the family bloodline. There's no restraint. That becomes the children's inheritance. Yeah. And you're blaming it on their friends, and you might be blaming it on the school and their teachers. No, but they get it from home, right? And one of the most powerful things when you read, I love to read, when you read the books, you understand that the framework, the pattern of God is that the parents are supposed to teach the children. If you read Deuteronomy, the parents are supposed to teach the children and put it on right in their hearts, put it on the frontlets of their eyes, tie it around their neck so that they won't depart from those ways, that becomes their inheritance. Right? When the parents say, I love the Lord, my God, with all my heart, my strength, and I love my neighbor as myself, and I begin to say that and I begin to demonstrate that becomes the children's inheritance, right? That becomes, they will see you doing a thing, they will see your decisions made manifest in your daily life and begin to act out that. Yeah. And so I think, especially in the Black community, we really need to understand that the way that we think, right? Some people, they get upset when you start talking about bad parenting and parenting in this generation. And they yes, there was abuse that happened back in the day. And yes, we can go and do a deep dive study into certain kind of behaviors, certain kind of punishments and discipline actions that were used. We can definitely talk about that. But you know what? We're going to have to get up off of them for a minute, because our parents were coming out of a system. Our foreparents were coming out of a system when discipline meant harm and hurt. And there was no real conversation. And again, that statement is not ubiquitous because everybody didn't go through that, right? But the reality is when you're trying to implement and or break a cycle, it begins with the mindset of the family. It begins with the mindset that you begin to cultivate in your family, right? And so today we're going to be talking about building the family mind. That's what we're going to be talking about. Building the family mind. My goodness, this is going to be a great, great show today. And I need you to call everybody, tell them tune in. Elle is getting ready to talk about building the family mind. Bishop is about to teach us real good right here on the Culture Call. Praise 93.3, your inspiration station. I need you to keep it right here. There is so much more to come. Don't you dare miss it.
This is a world premiere.
And we are back right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. Praise 93.3 FM, your inspiration station. And this morning, we are talking about building the family mind. That's right. How can we create a legacy of healthy thoughts, a healthy mind, safe spaces to express emotions and mental dysfunctions if they ever should come up, That's all important. And we just kicked off this morning just giving you some on a kind of biblical understanding, because I think sometimes, again, as I've been saying the whole month, we have a tendency to separate spirit from soul, not understanding that we are a tripart being. That means we are made up in three parts: spirit, soul, and body. Yes, but the reality is that those parts do not live as parts or are apart from each other. That they are a very intricate combination of our lives, right? Our spirit, our soul, the way that we communicate with the divine and understand the invisible things. Our soul, the way that we process the world around us and ourselves, the way that we analyze, the way that we feel, the way our emotions and all of those different kinds of things go. And then our physical body, the way that things that we touch and that we're able to handle and be able to move, right? And to take up space and place. And those three parts do not, however, operate apart from each other. That our assignment as human beings on this earth is to how can we get all three parts to function primarily as one creation ordained by God and given to the earth as to fulfill some sort of assignment. I think that's very important. That when we don't understand that, then we'll be spiritual people doing X, Y, Z, ABC, and all that. We'll be doing that, and then we'll do our minds be someplace else, and then our bodies be someplace else. And that's how a lot of people live. That they're one person in church, or when they get into what they consider a spiritual or sacred environment, then they get into another environment, and then they can't make good decisions, and they have their feelings and emotions are all over the place. They have low emotional IQ, low EQ, right? Their emotional quotient is really low. They're heavily offended, highly, always upset about something, depressed and all that. And then you got this physical being over here that looks like they're functional because they're coming to work, they're smiling, they're doing all of the necessary things, but their beings or their parts are living apart from each other. And watch this. And so the meeting of our parts and being able to have those things line up together to make a life, right? To go after a living is the will. It meets in the soul. And the text tells us that. John says, I do above all things wish that ye be in health, even as your soul prosper, right? Even as your soul prosper. That it would prosper. If your soul's prospering, if your mind is prospering, then your life is going to prosper, or the rest of your life is going to prosper. In other words, that word mind there is your soul, your mentality, your thought processes, right? Your ability to decide and to discern and to think and to analyze really, really, beloved, is the thing that causes you to have the kind of quality of life. Right. And now I hear somebody saying, well, now, Bishop, I'm thinking positive. But I'm telling you, the moment you just said that, but I'm thinking positive, but it ain't nothing changing. Nothing changes. No. You're just analyzing. You're really not changed behavior, disposition. That's a big thing. Right. Disposition. Right. And here's how people miss that whole idea of disposition and mentality, right? And mindset, right? It matters to God how you do a thing, not just that you do a thing, but how you do a thing, right? That I'm doing all I need to do for my spouse, but look at how you're doing it. You're not happy about doing it. You don't consider it to be an honor, right? You don't respect your spouse. You go to work and you pay the bills because you see that as your responsibility. You go, you do whatever you got to do for him and the children out of responsibility, but not out of the joy that God has given you or you've been afforded to have the privilege of marriage and a family, right? So again, God is not just looking at what you're doing, it's the how. And the how is determined by the state of the will, by the state of the mind, right? That's why when you read the text, it's full of this. And I don't want to wax preachy today, but it is the element of who I am, right? But here is the reality. The reality says that, number one, I must serve the Lord with gladness, right? That means I can't just come to church and just, I guess got to sing this. I got to sing alto. I got to sing tenor in the choir again. I got to open up the church. I don't want to do it, but okay, good. Yeah, but that's not serving the Lord with gladness. Remember, the caveat is with gladness. Get on the other side of that preposition, with gladness, right? With joy, right? That's God loves what kind of giver? A cheerful giver, right? Because to God, it matters how you do it. It matters how you're doing his life. What is your mental state, right? That if you're serving someone and you look like it's a drudgery serving them, it not only, I don't care if you make the best fried chicken or bake the best pound cake, if you're serving it with a mind like, I really don't want to be here and I really don't want to do it, it degrades the taste of the food and the quality of the food in the mind of the individual that's eating it. Because not only are they eating your ingredients, they're eating your attitude. They're eating your mindset. They're eating your mentality. I hope y'all see this culture call, right? So, but at least I'm here. No, you being here is not enough. That's not enough, right? And we're not talking about merit now. We're talking about how your makeup is supposed to be and how it is supposed to be aligned with the rest of who you are, right? That you can't tell me that you serve the Lord with gladness and then you see me, can't say good morning, you're not nice, you're attitudinal, you don't want to be bothered with people, you don't do people, all those are mentalities, right? But now the music strike up or they sing your favorite song and they got to fan you. They got to have 15 people holding you and throwing blue sheets and all over you and all kind of stuff so you won't show your business and because you just lose it all because they didn't sign me up for the Christian Jubilee, right? But after church, you can walk past people, go straight to your car, act as if you don't see folks. Saints, there's something wrong. That's not just a spiritual problem. That is a mindset. That is a perverted mindset. Now, when I say perverted, I'm not talking about things that are sexual. I'm not talking about lasciviousness. I'm not talking about lustful. I am talking about when I say perverted, it means that it is in a crooked path or it's not working properly like it should, right? This is why when we talk about the greatest commandment to love God with your everything, and he says, and the second is likened unto that one, love your neighbor like you love yourself, right? Then that means, number one, you've got to begin to settle some issues about you because the way you treat me is the way you treat you. So you can't not like me and tell me I like myself more than I like you. No, that ain't see, you can't switch it up and change it up like how you want to. No. Because at the end of the day, you ought to do unto others as you would have them, not as they did unto you. So this whole idea, this whole mentality that's coming up now in the culture of returning energy, first of all, that is not biblical. That is not, that has no Christology connected to it. That has none. Yeah, wave your hand, shake your pom-poms, lift your Bibles, your King James, or your whatever version you're reading, but you're not going to find it. That whole idea of returning energy, where she was nasty to me, so I was nasty to her. That is not, beloved. Come on, lean in, y'all. That is not sanctioned by Scripture, right? That is not how God put it without scripture. That's not how God wired us, right? That you're having a good day and somebody comes in and brings in negative energy, right? And you mean to tell me you're having a good day, but you're going to sacrifice your good day on the altar of their bad energy by returning that bad energy back to them, by returning their attitude back to them? No, come on. You are smarter than that. You are wiser than that. Your mind is stronger than that. Come on. You know that, right? They treat you nasty. Okay. Well, maybe they're having a bad day. Let me go over and find out what's going on. Have you stopped to do that? Have you ever stopped to, you know what? Let me pray for this person. That's what the text says. Right. That they might have had a situation going on in their life right now. I'm just going to give them some space. I'm not going to take it personal because my mind is rejoicing. My mind is having a good day. It's a positive day. I got a job. I got my life. I got my health. I got my strength. I clothe myself. I bathe myself. Yeah. I got my right mind, right? I got a good job. Maybe not a millionaire yet, right? But I can pay my bills. I'm not on the street. I'm not going to my mind is not going to let anybody come in my space and rob me of my mindset. No, a grateful mindset, a thinking on these things, whatsoever is virtuous, whatsoever, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise. That word virtue means moral excellence. I'm not going to have the kind of mind that is so feeble and so frail that I allow other people to step into my reality and cause me to miss what is the purpose for my life. I woke up this morning with the encouragement, or with the day to be a blessing to my job, to myself, to other people, right? And I'm not going to allow anybody else's instances to move me from my mindset. Period. You know, because I done heard folks say, man, I was having a good day. And then he came into the room, man, Doc, and he was acting crazy. He was doing, and so I said, oh, well, if he going to act crazy, I'm going to act crazy. Okay. All right. You just been manipulated. You have just been witchcraft into giving up your mind. Duh. You have been witchcraft into giving up your mind. But Reverend, I don't care what you say. I'm not going to let nobody get over on me. You do it every day, so stop it. You do it every day. You do it on your job, huh? You do it in your marriage. You do it it's the perspective that you have. See, it's this mentality, right? Somebody's getting over on you. No. Have you ever considered that other people might be having a day today as well? And your assignment today, come on, is to encourage them and to help them out of that place of despair. And it ain't all about you sometimes. Sometimes we are allowed to experience other people in the essence of who they are in the most negative sense, just to see what we will do, how we will move. And watch this. Be careful and understand that is a mentality that you are creating that's going to be housed in your home. Your children are watching, right? You're watching. They're watching how you act and how you respond. How you create an atmosphere in your house. Right. Yeah, because some days, folks, you ever been around somebody, Culture Call, that they just wake up wanting to fuss? Not you, the person that's sitting next to you. They just wake up wanting to pick an argument. They wake up because something is going on with them. And the people that experience this the most is who? People who they have proximity to. That's right. The husband, the wife, the children, the family, the friends. You get the brunt of this person's, movement in terms of mindset, right? And they come in and it seems like with an assignment, you got to have the stability of mind. Let me say this again. You've got to have the stability and the soundness of mind to say, before I let them change me, I'll separate myself and give them their space until they can work out their situation. But what I won't allow them to do is to bring me into a place where I start acting outside of the life I have decided and chosen to live today. If I rose this morning and I said, we're going to have a good day today, listen, ain't nobody going to bug me, then guess what? You better know that it's going to be challenged. It's going to be challenged. There's going to be somebody that puts that to the test. And you've got to have the strength of mind to be resolved in what you've decided. No, you're not going to get on my nerve today. Nobody is going to do that to me today. I'm going to be a blessing. I'm going to spread cheer. I'm going to rejoice today. Yeah. And again, I say, I'm going to do that all day long. All day long. Because I have to understand that I'm responsible and accountable for my decisions and my mindset, you know? And a lot of people blame things. That's, you know, that word blame is something else. It is. Because what blame does, it might be somebody else's. They might have set an impetus, or they might have done something, right, that disrupted the peaceful atmosphere, right? The joyous or a convivial atmosphere that was there, right? But you and I have choices as well. That to say, no, that's that person's situation. They're going to be accountable for what they do, but I'm not going to get caught up in what they're doing. No, I'm not. We're not going to do that. Absolutely not. They can, if they want to have an attitude today, they can have an attitude today, right? One of the things that my mom used to do when we would come in the house and we had an attitude after school, she would go make us walk back outside. She said, go back out the door. Mom, for what? I'm just getting out of the car. Go back out the door. Because you brought something in this house that don't need to be there, you know, and you're looking all on your clothes, you're looking on the bottom of your shoes, thinking you got poop on your shoes or whatever. And she says, no, you brought an attitude in this house. And this is a joyous house. This is a house of joy, rejoicing. And you brought in a bad attitude. So go back out and fix that. Change your mind, or fix it, deal with it outside of the door. Because how you brought it from school all the way to home is amazing to me. You live with this all day. So go ahead and resolve that. Or if you need to talk about it, walk through the door and say, Mom, I need to talk to you about something. But what we're not going to do, you're not coming in my house slamming no doors. You're not coming in my house not speaking to people. You're not coming in my house disrespecting me. You're not coming into my house just grabbing something out of the refrigerator and locking yourself up in your room and I don't know what's wrong with you. No, absolutely not. Come talk to me. But we will not allow that kind of mindset and mentality to be normal in this house. And that is what you have to do. We have to become responsible. And I know some of us didn't learn it as kids. Some of us did not learn that as kids because our parents didn't have good mental and or emotional health. No, they didn't care about no family health. That's not, so we did exactly what they did. And so I think that is very, very, very important, right? That we begin to, something simple like that. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You know, and even now when I see my adult children, I ask them, what's wrong with you? What's going on with you? You know, they come up with a despondent, because parents know, now they say, Dad, I just don't want to talk. Can we not talk about it right now? I'll talk about it a little later. I'm just trying to process. And I respect that. I respect that mind. I respect that choice. You got to talk to me now. No, don't do that, because that's a violation of their own mental space. Let them ponder it. Yeah. And then say, okay, well, no problem. We can talk about it later. We can talk about it a little later. But we will talk about it because you're bringing something in the house we don't understand. You're bringing a different kind of spirit, a different kind of mentality, a different kind of physicality. You just disconnected from everybody. Right. You're apart. You're living apart from yourself, and I need you to gather yourself and bring yourself back in, right, so that we can be family again, right? This is a good conversation culture call. My goodness, 205-752-4800. Right here, I need you to keep it here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. Praise 93.3, your inspiration station. Listen, we got much more to come. Go ahead and get hydrated again. Messed that up. And keep it right here.
This is a world premiere.
And we are back right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. Praise 93.3 FM, your inspiration station. And it's the top of the hour. And welcome to all of you who are joining us in our second hour right here on the Culture Call. It's already been an amazing day. I want to send a shout out to you for making it just in the nick of time. That's right. We've got another 60 minutes to help you and empower our community. And this morning we are talking about building a family mindset. We've been really challenging some of the old strongholds and the old ways of our thinking and begin to cause us to have another pattern, another way of engaging, right? Making sure that we understand our personal responsibility to our own thoughts, decisions, mindsets, attitudes, etc., right? It becomes, in the culture in which we live, it becomes so very easy to blame other people for our dysfunctions. It is, right? And mama dysfunctions, daddy dysfunctions, children dysfunctions. We all have a responsibility. And Saturday, I was talking to a therapist. She goes to our church, Christine Bales. She was talking about, listen, at some given point, all of us got traumas and triggers, because that's kind of what I want to focus on this second hour. This, helping us beyond these traumas and triggers, right? And this in this environmental, if I can use that word, community mindset that is oftentimes inherited in families. All of us have gone through some level of trauma and triggers in terms of what we experienced when we were children, negatively, positively, whatever that might be. All of us show up today and as adults, as we grow up, with these particular things. But I love this, what she said. But we have to begin to take ownership of our own choices and decisions, which means, watch this, throw away the blame. Because, listen, here it is. They did it. Yes. Mama did it. Daddy did it. Auntie did it. Uncle did it. It happened. It is a reality. Nobody is minimizing the reality. But she says, here's what she says. You have to have a mentality and a mindset to decide that I'm not going to live and allow my 10, 9, 8, 7, 6-year-old self to be the determining factor of how I will embrace life, love relationships, God, now that I'm 40, 45, 50, right? That I am still fighting the demons of my young self yes, somebody should have protected me. Yes, my parents should have made a better decision, or parent, depending on whether you were raised in a single parent home, reared in a single parent home. Yes, those people who were supposed to protect me should have made a different decision. They did not. But guess what? Now you're 35, you're 40. And now you have to make a different decision. You know why? Because you have a family now. You have a relationship now. You're trying to get married now. You're trying to have a prosperous life now. You're trying not to repeat, cycles and patterns and habits that you had growing up, right? And when you're living in the petri dish of blame, and you're waiting for people who probably, if they're still alive, you're waiting for people to give you an apology for you so you can move on. Let me tell you something. That is already a defeated mentality. They may never say, because you'd have to understand, it takes great wherewithal for someone to do something to you as a child that young, and then find a season or a space where their pride, ego, arrogance, where they remove the propensity for embarrassment and or shame from their life, to be able to muster up enough energy and sense of connection to reality to even say, I'm sorry, I apologize that I handled you in this way. That takes a lot. However, if you're basing the thriving, the surviving, the movement, the maturation, right, of your life on their accountability or on their apology, you may never see that. You might be 70 and 60, and they could be sleeping the long sleep, and you're still upset by what they did to you. I love what she said. Christine said, you have to make a decision for yourself and protect your own mind. Gather yourself and say, yes, I'm 35. It did happen. And I hate that they were in that place. I hate they were because they caused me this kind of situation in my life, but I choose and decide to disconnect from what that molestation did to me. I refuse to live under the snare, the sin, and the insanity of what that incestuous thing did to me. I refuse. See, you have to do that. It's a decision. I refuse to let that abuse and that hurtfulness, that treatment, like as if I was the black sheep of the family. I refuse, now that I am of age and have my own family and can make my own decisions, I refuse to allow their decisions to be the last decision made for my life. Did you hear what I just said, Coach Call? I refuse for that divorce to be the last decision made for my life. And now I'm living afraid of relationships, afraid to love again, afraid to learn how to trust, afraid to smile again, afraid to feel embrace again. I'm living all of that. And this thing happened 20, 30 years ago. And it doesn't even have to be that long. It could have been, 5 to 10 years ago. My thing is, at the top of the list, here's what the Lord is saying. Here's what you deserve to live. I have come that you might have what? Life. And that more abundantly. So then their decision, when I was under their care or the lack thereof, when I was a child or a teenager that I've been living with all of these years, that will not be, let me say this again, that will not be the lasting mantra of my life. I refuse to live underneath the burden of them not caring for me or not deciding to treat me like the child that needed protection, that needed love, that needed learning, that needed training, right? Train up a child in the way they should go, right? That person decided to make that decision. That wasn't something wrong with my mind. That was something wrong with their mind. My love for them and my trust in them and my care for them when I was a child was not a flaw against me. That's how children are supposed to be. But the fact that they manipulated or they threw that aside, casted it aside as if it was nothing, to violate my being, to violate my body, to violate my mind, to do all those things that were egregious in the sight of God, but not only his sight, but in my sight as well. I refuse to live under the never-ending nightmare of mind and mentality of the bad decisions that they made. Yes, he left me with all these kids. Okay, I get that. That was his choice. What is your next choice? What is your next choice? Sir, yes, she left you. She went to the plumber, or she went to somebody who was in a better financial position than you. Whatever. I get it. Don't act rash, because you're allowing her mentality and her decision to create a system, a chain of events in your life that might make you end up in jail or might make you end up in a worse place than that. Right? So now, and we've got to stop all these labels. You a punk, or you this, or you are that. Listen, no, that is the enemy. That is those outside voices and those manipulating tendencies that tell you to react, to pay back, to exact revenge. No, you've got to take control over your own life and say, okay, that was their decision. And let them own that. Talking here, L. Yeah, I am. Let them own that. Let them own their decision. Yeah, I said what I said. Let them own their decision, right? And they did it, and I know it was painful. I know it was hurtful, but now you're at a place where you can decide for yourself. As a matter of fact, you've been at that place, but you've never heard anybody tell you you can decide again. Yes, you can. You can decide again. I'm leaving you. I'm divorcing you because you ain't nothing but fat, black, and ugly. Okay, no problem. Y'all ever seen Color Purple? Celia said, okay, I might be all those things you said. I might be skinny. I might be black, all that. But I'm here. And now I'm going to decide for myself to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to decide myself to be a homeowner. I'm going to decide for myself that my life is going to bounce back as if I never met you. As a matter of fact, what you did to me, I'm going to utilize as the springboard. Talking hell. Yeah, I'm going to utilize that as the springboard for me to have and create another life. Period. See, Culture Call, you are not stopped by one person's bad decision. If you still alive, if you survived that decision and you still living, then guess what? Those people, I've dealt with many people who've been in abusive situations. And at the end of our conversation, I asked them, what are you deciding? What do you mean? What am I deciding? Well, you have another decision. There's more than one decision. You could go back there, or you could, there are places and situations and other places that could help you. Are you going to take those avenues? Or are you going to just sit there and wait today? Maybe he may or may not come home drunk and shoot you. Or what are you going to do? Because everything relies on a decision. I don't have no place to go. No, there's always a place to go. Yeah, absolutely. We've got to learn how. Because see, listen to me, y'all. Listen. I'm more than sure right now that there are no children listening to my broadcast. So this is, at this point, an adult safe space to have critical and controversial, provocative conversation. So I'm assured of that. They're in school or, because I know school winding down, right? But here is the reality. You, sir, you, ma'am, have another decision to make. You have another move to make to regain the agency, the value of your life again. The question is, will you find the courage and the boldness to make that decision? You've got to, some decisions are so, you have to have gall, right? I was reading from a text on Sunday in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, and I think it was around verse number 12. He says, because I have hope, because I have an expectation, that's why I'm coming to you in bold confidence. Here's the deal, that you can move in confidence and boldness and courage when you have a hope and expectation for something different and better in your life. Now, say it again. I think I will. I said that you can move in boldness, confidence, and courage when you have an expectation and a hope for something better in your life, right? And so let me just go and put that out there right now, right? That your life, if you decide, is, well, not because you decide, because it is so. Your life is connected to better, but you must decide to have the better that your life is connected to. Let me say this again. I said your life has been divinely connected to better, but you have to decide to choose to have the better that is connected to your life. Now, you can complain all day, and I'm waiting for them to apologize. Listen, sweet precious. It may never come. It may never come. So you're going to treat the kids bad because the apology didn't come from him, from Rufus? You're going to treat the kids bad, sir, because the apology never came from Bertha? That's what you're going to do today. That's what you're going to do. You're going to let her attitude determine how your life is going to be, how you and your children's life are going to be? No. No, 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 and one more time, no. You are going to do better. You are going to decide. And I wish, oh, how I wish. See, there are people right now that because they have not really clearly decided, or they made a decision and have not analyzed properly. Watch me. They made decisions and have not analyzed properly their next move. They're shooting buckshots instead of rifles. Now, I'm a country boy, and we went fishing and hunting, and my daddy had 2 guns in the house. Got it? My daddy had 2 guns in the house. One was a rifle. Now, a rifle, you would put 1 bullet in, or you were, in the chamber and all those other kind of stuff, right? And you could, it would shoot, boom, it would be a clean shot. And he'd say, hey, you shoot this kind of ammo with the rifle, you do this with a rifle, blah, blah, blah. And then he had what he called a buckshot. Y'all know what that is, a double barrel buckshot gun. And those bullets, when you would fire it, those pellets or those bullets would have a springing out effect. In other words, it would have had a scattering effect, right? And a lot of times people, when they're trying to resolve painful issues, they get a mentality of buckshot. They're trying to shoot any and everything that moves and make that the blame and the cause for why they're no. That means that their strength of mind in their strategy and their technique, their process orientation is not healthy, right? They're mad at this thing, but they're shooting at everybody. They need to deal with this, but they're shooting at everything. And they're killing things that they're going to need on their road to recovery, but they're killing them because they have no strategy of how to get to the bottom line, right? They have no strategy of dealing with, this is the situation, right? So they're killing all their relationships. Male, female, don't come close to me, don't touch me. Somebody says, hey, you're beautiful. What you trying to say? They built up this whole thing, putting up all this wall, when really they're shooting out buckshots. Anybody that comes, they popping them off, shooting everywhere. Innocent people, innocent situations. When what they really do is to take a rifle and deal with that painful incident and decide according to that painful incident and let these other things live, because they are the environment and the source of your recovery. Period. Yeah, I know that's hard to hear, Culture Call. I get it because nobody necessarily challenges us in that area. I get it. When I tell you, I promise you I understand. But my assignment, my job, why I come on this every day, is to let you know one person is not all people. That's why, me now. I hate the statement. I'm going to get in trouble right here. But listen, here it is. I'm coming for it. That's why I hate the statement about church hurt. I absolutely hate that statement, because the whole church didn't hurt you. You don't even know the whole church. You ain't stayed at church long enough. Nah, you ain't stayed at church long enough to talk about the church hurt. No, deal with the individual, the person. A person in church might have hurt you. Now, I can go with that. A person in church did that. Did the whole church stand up and say something to you about that? Did the entire church say that? No, the entire church did not. Okay, well, since the entire church did not say that, then guess what? You have to make an understanding that let me deal with what I'm dealing with. Let me go to that person. Or better yet, let me stay away from that person. But what I'm not going to do is blame this one, right? I'm not going to blame XYZ, ABC for something that, JFK did, right? Deal with that. Deal with who and what you're dealing with, right? If it's your mother that hurt you and she's still living and you think you can have a conversation, watch this, then have the conversation with your mama. But if you think you can't have the conversation, then you have to make a choice to say, you know what? I got to make a decision and not let this. I'm going to forgive and move on without an apology, because an apology is not a requirement for forgiveness. They're getting ready to call somebody on me. Don't call nobody. No, don't turn it off now. Come on, listen to this. Lean into this. An apology is not necessary for you to forgive. Huh? No. Forgiveness lies within the course of your choice of heart and mind to say what this person did to me is not going to affect me anymore. I'm taking control of my life. Because before this, the action and the need for an apology was controlling my life. But now I'm deciding that I don't need any of that, right? I don't need any of that to affect me, to move me forward. I'm choosing to forgive and I'm moving on. Here it is. Y'all ready? You good saved folks, y'all ready? Huh? Ready? Jesus on the cross, nobody apologized to him. Huh? Not a thief, not a centurion, nobody. He says, Father, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. For they know not what they do. Forgive them. From the cross, bleeding from every orifice. Huh? Yeah. See, that's what we have to acquire. And we talking about to be like Jesus. Okay, well, if that's the case, then that means that sometimes you got to make up your mind to move on without the apology. And even if it's from father, mama, daddy, brother, sister, I'm gonna let them live in that world they created by themselves because I am no longer living in that world with them. I'm no longer giving them that kind of control. I am no longer becoming subject to what they did to me. No, absolutely not. I am not. So you got to figure it out. You have to figure it out. And the whole idea of us being in living in the proper context of our lives means that we've got to do the work of mind. And I've really been dealing with people, not in church, outside of church, that I'm not going to allow you to do that to me. I'm not going to do that to myself. I'm moving on. I'm going to decide to move on. Hey, you don't want to speak to me? That's cool. I'm not going to force you into a situation where you're not going to be your authentic self. They don't want to talk to me, but I'm going to go up and talk to them, and I'm going to make them. No. What I'm not going to do is force you to move out of your authentic self. Period. I'm not. No. I'm going to always be pleasant. I'm going to always be me, but I'm also going to decide not to live in the chamber of horrors that you're trying to create for our world. No. Or the horror that you did create. No. Absolutely. I'm going to allow and decide for me to love again. And I'm going to teach my daughters how to love men. How to have a healthy relationship. I'm going to teach my sons how to honor women. How to respect them, how to take care of them. I am not going to allow what I saw growing up, the decisions that they made to be the reality for my family. No, I'm going to make what? Another decision. Culture call. Lean into this. Make another decision that is beneficial for your family, for your life. Huh? You got to do that. You got to do that. Yeah, you have got to do that. And the reality is simply this. Let me just say this. The reality is this, is that if you don't do it, then you leave it up for your children to fix and face and fight the battles of gaining a healthy mentality and breaking the patterns, that you refuse to break, that you refuse to face. Because if you don't face it, you can't fix it. That's it. You can't convert it if you won't confront it. You see? And so we got a whole lot of people. This is where the rubber meets the road. I'm going to teach. Yeah. I'm going to hug and love my kids. I'm going to give them a safe space. I can't spend the rest of my life mad at my mom and my daddy because they didn't do that for me. I cannot do that. I got too much life to live. I've got grandchildren on the way. Now, I'm grateful for parents that gave us a space and an opportunity to talk and to speak, and everything wasn't an extension cord, and everything, they didn't belittle, my feelings. Mom, I'm a little discouraged today. I'm a little depressed today. Well, you better go in to depress that vacuum, depress that bed you didn't clean up. See, we got to stop that as black folks. We got to stop that. No, my job is to create a safe space. Dad, my kids say, Dad, today I'm having a bad day. Okay, come on, let's talk about it. Let's go out to eat. They know their daddy loves to go out and eat. So let's go out to eat. Where you want to go eat? Let's go. You want to go get some yogurt? You want to go here? You want to go to Wings? You want to go, because I love Wings. You want to go to this place, that place? Where you want to go? Let's go talk about it. And I give them an opportunity to open up. Say whatever you want to say. Yeah, keep it respectful. Even if it's me that got on your nerves. Tell me how you feel. I need to know. If I hurt your feelings, give me an opportunity to fix it. Because what I don't want is for them to grow up before they have children and thinking that parents are not supposed to apologize. Oh, my. Oh, my God. Yeah, I don't want them growing up thinking parents not supposed to apologize, that we are so right and so sovereign and so correct. No, parents make mistakes. You know why? Because we are human too. Yes, we are. I know y'all don't like to admit that, but we are human. Human and very human. And so, yeah. So, oh, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to say it like that. Oh, I'm sorry if I came off that way. I apologize. Listen, here's what I said. I'm sorry if you took it that way. It's different than I'm sorry that I came across that way. You see, those are two different things. Mentality, problem solving. Come on. You got to make up your mind to do something different pattern. But I'm sorry you took it that way. No. That's invalidating the way that they feel. Talking here. Come on. That's invalidating the way that they feel. No, I apologize if that's what I gave off. If I gave it that way, I'm sincerely sorry. And I didn't mean that. Daddy loves you. I didn't mean that's my bad. Please forgive me. I don't want you walking around here mad and thinking that because I'm the pastor, the bishop, I'm the Indian chief, that I can't say that I'm sorry. Because what's more important to me is how my children view my heart and their trust in me as their father than me being right. And to some of y'all, it's being right is the most important thing, because that's what our parents say. Don't question me. Because they get that from don't question God, but you ain't God. And I love it. Christine said something so very powerful the other day. She said, why can't we question God if he has all the answers? If he has all the answers, why not say, God, what is going on? And that's what parents say. If we raised our children like we got all the answers, then they ought to be able, that when we do something that they don't understand, to ask us questions. To question what's happening. Yeah. Woo-woo. Yeah, y'all all right? Y'all still breathing? Hey, that's right, but we got more to go right here with yours truly, Bishop L. Spencer Smith, right here on the Culture Call, Praise 93.3, your inspiration station. Keep it right here. There's so much more to come. Don't you dare miss it.
This is a world premiere.
And we are back right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, Bishop L. Spencer Smith on Praise 93.3 FM, your inspiration station. We've been having a wonderful conversation today, a wonderful talk, and I hope that you all have been leaning into it. Listen, y'all, I'm not fussing, I'm not fighting, I'm just trying to help you. That is all I am doing. I'm trying to help you, the different ones, to help you understand that, yeah, we've got to begin to think about the course of our family mind, right? A lot of things that we often perpetuate in the name and continue in the name of being faithful to our family. Well, we've always done that. We need to investigate those things. Now, hear me. So don't start tripping yet. Don't, because I know folks ain't scared to trip. What I am simply saying is this: is that a lot of ways that Big Mama and Big Papa did things were absolutely wrong. And we've got to be willing to admit that. Let me say this again. I said we've got to be willing to admit that. Yeah. You've got to really understand that they did the best they knew how to do. They did what was probably transferred to them. But the adage is correct. When you know better, what? You ought to do better. You can't have they didn't have an exposure, number one, to psychology and the education, the academics that we've had. They were living up on a different level of experience and life and culture and economy, all those different kinds of things, right? That none of us, are living in a slave economy where not only is it was the destitution of finances or money, but the destitution of dignity. We're not living in those same times. We're not living in the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s, the 30s, and the 20s. So they did what they needed to do and acquired certain skills and inculcated certain patterns in the family that would keep them alive, first of all. So they were not trying to do anything that was going to cause themselves to be killed in an oppressive society. So that we've got to make sure right there. This is why we got to make some distanciation between how they lived and how they decided and how we live and what we will decide, right? They did the best they could with what they had, all right? But just because it's the best they could with what they have does not mean that it was, number one, the best. Number two, definitely not the best for the world and in the life that we're living now. So we've got to make a decision to do the hard work of saying, hey, you know what? I think I may need to make another decision. I don't want to be this kind of parent. I don't want to be this kind of father. I don't want to be this kind of mother. I don't want to be this kind of husband, this kind of wife. I don't want that. I don't want to continue to perpetuate this pattern. This is not working for us. It may have worked or had the semblance of working for them because they were under a different system, as I said before. But for us now, no. It's not working the same. And it's not designed to work the same. And it's okay to say, what? This ain't working for me. It's okay to say that. Let me say this again. It is okay to say that. Yeah. And that's no disrespect to them. Now, I believe that the mentality of respect and honor and godly fear needs to be a part of the family equation. I do believe that. I don't believe that you talk to your parents in your kind of way. You should talk to your wife in your kind of way, your husband in your kind of way. I don't think that we should talk to our children in the old kind of way. Yeah, I think there should be a community of mutual respect that goes around, understanding that the word says, and it teaches mutual respect. Number one, honor your father and your mother that your days may be long upon the land, which is the first commandment with promise, right? But also, fathers, don't provoke your children to wrath, right? Mothers, teach and train and nurture the home. Yeah. So there is responsibility for mutuality all around, right? I saw it was so, I hate part of what I hate as a pastor and a preacher, y'all. Can I be honest? Yeah, I'm already out here now. Is when I hear people take scripture and they utilize it for purposes for which they are not supposed to be utilized. So I was looking at this, this news report about this congressman in Oklahoma, right? And they're advocating this whole Bible be implemented in school. Let me tell you something. Goodness, I'm gonna have to do a show on this, a whole show. But let me just intimate right here that a person asked me, "Do you believe prayer should be in school?" I said, "Yeah, I believe that children should be able to pray. I don't think the issue is not children praying. The issue has never been can a child pray or can a student pray in school. The issue is prayer in school as an institution, because the issue is who is going to pray. Let's say yes, since y'all fighting for prayer in school, prayer has never been out of school. The issue is that the prayer can't mandate one person to pray, because how do you know they believe what you believe? The assumption is that, so when they pray something that's not what you believe, that is the government's fear about this whole idea of taking prayer out of school. And we say it as if it's an issue of spiritual warfare and not understanding the politics behind it. No, there is really, the reality is, I don't want every adult praying over my child at school. Period. I believe that there ought to be a time in the day that's allowed for every child to have a moment of prayer and or meditation if they so desire. But when an administrator or you designating Johnny, Susie, and all of them praying over the whole school, that's where it becomes a little right? Yeah, I hope you see that, right? And here it is. Some of y'all look at the altar call at your church, and depending on who pastor asks to pray on the altar, don't come up to the altar because you don't want everybody praying over you. And the Lord says, my house should be a house of prayer. And but that person there, I don't know about them. Well, if you can do that at the church that is determined to be a house of prayer according to how God has called it, then why can't you see that at school? But anyway, I digress. And so he was thinking, they were talking about corporal punishment and levels of punishment. He's like, well, I want the Bible to be implemented in the schoolhouse and let the Bible, and it said, if a parent that spares their, if a person spares the rod, they spoil the child. I said, wait 1 minute. Here is the problem with that. You want that when there are white teachers with white students or white teachers with black students. But you don't want that when there's a black teacher with white students. You don't care if it's a black teacher with black students, right? So, and then that's a parental text, not a whosoever will text. That ain't nobody just walking up on my child, and sometimes Christians can have this mentality that we don't understand what appropriateness means and where things are to be placed, right? And so nobody walking up on your street and you and your child having a discussion and they just grab your child and spank your child. Wait, you going to jail. I know I am. Or I know it's going to be some slow song singing and flower bringing. Come on, I'm going to be preaching in orange or stripes because we're going to have to. Oh, yeah. You're not just, see, we don't think. We're living in a world with such a limited mentality and such a perspective. Now, that's what it was back in the day. But when you come into a fullness of understanding, and you will be surprised, Culture Call, how many people, red, white, black, whatever the color is, live in an archaic, old understanding of how culture, society, and the means of life is. And so they're still deciding according to old patterns. That's where I'm trying to get to, that sparing the rod is actually discipline. That sparing the rod is not even the first level of discipline. No, it's counsel and it's advisement. And then when your child sees that they're disobedient and then they are acting the part of a fool, that's when the text says, foolishness is bound up in the heart of the child, but the rod of correction drives them out. That's where the rod of correction, when there is no reasoning by relationship. You see, when there is no reasoning by conversation, when I can't sit Johnny down and say, Johnny, this is what is wrong. This is what I require of you. Boom, 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 boom. XYZ. Right? And get some resolve there. But they still disobey. Then we take it to another level. Right? And it's never to kill the child. It's never, let me say this again. It's never to kill the child. It is to put a child back in its place of teaching and learning. You can't do that giving the baby a black eye. Beating the baby with an extension cord is not putting the child back in his place. That's how you put a slave back in their place. That's not how you put a child back in their place. Talking here, I am. Yes, that you see the difference? I get it. See, we were raised, mom and daddy used to pick up extension cords and brooms and all that, crack us across the back, and we laugh about it now. But the reality is they got that from slave masters trying to keep slaves in place. That's not children. Children are not slaves. So we don't discipline them to show them that, to put them back in the place of a slave. Discipline them to put them back in the place of a child, of protection, of correction and instruction. You are still a tutor. You still need tutelage in life, right? That though that child be an heir, if they remain a child, they're different, nothing but a servant, right? That means simply they got to go through governors and tutors. They got to go through a schoolmaster. I have to teach them and train them and tell them, hey, here is the reality. Here is the resolve. You can't come. No, you're not. We're not doing this in this house. Right? You have to develop a different kind of mentality. And again, I'm not picking on anybody, Culture Call, so don't turn me off. Don't put me on low. Turn me up some and call your friends. Here's the reality. We've got to find a new way. We've got to change the mentality and own where we are in 2024 to bring ourselves up to be viable in the life in which we live. To serve the present age is what our calling is. You can't go back and fulfill what grandmama and great-grandmama and granddaddy just because you were reared that way. They can't come back and tell you now. And here's the truth of the matter, is that the way that my parents did me, they didn't do a fraction of that to my children. Yeah, you ever notice that? Right. That somehow when they get to be grandparents, they get softer, but when they were parents, they were like wardens because they knew they wasn't right. They knew everything. That's their apology, the way that they treat your children. Right. Exactly. You know, the late, great Bill Cosby says, well, not the late, but the great Bill Cosby says, hey, they're grandparents and they're trying to get to heaven now. Right? Yeah. Because we have to learn how to change the family patterns, change the family mindset, to cultivate it, that we don't answer everything with the violence of the institution of slavery, that we answer things like sane people who are trying to build something, not tear it down. My job is to build my children. Our job is to build our community, not to tear it down, not to allow vicious patterns to keep existing in our communities and acting like we don't see it. Right? Absolutely. Absolutely. I know that, listen, this might be a little controversial, and it's not to me. You know, it is provocative. I want to provoke you unto good works. I want us to do better, Culture Call, and this is a part of doing better. Listen. I see the runway we're about to land this plane in just a few moments, but this is the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3. I need you to keep it right here. Go ahead and get you a little light lunch, get you some tuna fish, peanut butter and jelly. I don't know what you eat, but go ahead and get you some and be right back here. We'll be back.
This is a world premiere.
Well, beloved, it's been a great day right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. I consider it to be an honor that you all hung out with me for the last 2 hours. That's right. But hey, guess what? Tomorrow is another beautiful day, and we're going to be right here chopping it up with you, talking about how we can improve our mental health. Listen, I want to encourage you not to be afraid to challenge patterns and challenge schemes of life. Don't be afraid to do what you got to do what you got to do for your family now, right? That just because you might have come from a dysfunctional home and did not have good thought patterns and good choice making, all that, I get it. I understand. It's the way of life. But understand this, know this, that you have the right and the power to make another decision. And it's okay that you do that. It's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, you just got to do what you got to do, what's best for you and your family, so that you can not just survive, but what? Thrive. That's the word, thrive. That's right. You can be a revolutionary thinker. You can evolve. You can become. If you're still living, there's more to you and your family that's left that God has allowed you to live, to see, and to do, right? Listen, at the end of every broadcast, and every phone call, I said broadcast show, I meant phone call. My grandma, my mama would say, I love you a bushel, I love you a peck, and I love you a hug around the neck. It has been a great day on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3 FM, your inspiration station. Listen, be kind, be sweet. Yeah, make sure that you are embracing the fullness of life. Yeah, make great decisions today. I know it's going to be a blessing to you and to somebody else. And I want you to be intentional about loving each other. Time is so short. Tell everybody that you see and that you can touch, that you love them with all of your heart, and you're glad to have them in your life. Y'all have a blessed day. Peace out. See you tomorrow.